All right. Welcome to Expat Diaries podcast. This is the Costa Rica edition. And today we are talking to Martin. And Martin is a Canadian who has moved to Costa Rica a few years ago. And he has a really interesting story that I wanted to share with you guys. And if you are hearing background noise, it's because that's how life is in Costa Rica. You just get wherever you're going to be and you do your thing, and then you just move on and go live the rest of your life. So, Martin, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I know we had some internet.
And how about you?
I'm good. It's been a crazy day, but I'm loving my life. So, Martin, I know that you came to Costa Rica originally, not like to look to move there. You came there because you had a business dealing that you were looking to work out, right?
Correct.
So
Coffee business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever thinks about Costa Rica thinks about coffee, right?
No, they think about good coffee.
Yes. That is correct. And so I already had a coffee shop. I already was roasting over there, and then started being interested in courses and barista courses, roasting courses, what have you. And so I decided to just give it a shot at importing coffee. So I had all these. I think I had like 22 or 23 origins, single origin coffee in general in the coffee shop. But then I said, what about one single one I can choose myself and just go there and import it here in Canada at the time. And so that was really nice. It got me to close the loop, as to selling coffee, then being a barista, knowing how to prep coffee, and then roasting coffee was pretty much my final thing I wanted. But then when I arrived here, I saw this great coffee co-op, which had roasting kitties and what have you. So then started having a little bit more ideas of what I could do in Canada, and kind of jot down ideas and get this special origin only for the commodity coffee business. Yeah. But high end. I don't know if you follow me on that. And then so started having a lot of new customers throughout the country. That was really nice. And then what happened.
Right. Let's go back to that. So when you were importing coffee, the single origin coffee, were you bringing in beans that were not roasted yet, and you were roasting them?
Yeah, correct. Okay. It was all bulk in tons, so 69 kilo bags.
Wow.
And took about a month and a half to get to Canada from the Caribbean side, Puerto Moine to States, and from States to Canada. So
then COVID happened. What did that do to your business in Canada?
Anything but good things, pretty much, like a lot of people know. So, government closed down a lot of the businesses, restaurants, every public places, really. That's where the danger zone was, right?
Right.
So they closed it down for a long time, and in Quebec and for the rest of the country. In Canada, we had one of the hardest, I think, and longest periods of business shutdown.
Yeah, I think it was the most stringent there than it was anywhere in the world.
I think so. And so that got me out of business, of course. After a year and a half, and then, instead of crying with the positive side that was pretty much more present in myself, in my heart, and crying out for the passion I have for coffee. So then I just decided, instead of crying, if the coffee can't come to me, I can go over there and start my own thing over there. And that's what happened. But it's, nothing fancy. It's
act like that's an easy decision. Like you were like, okay, I'm out of business. I'll just go to Costa Rica. And I'm sure there was some crying.
Yeah, there was a lot of hardships, right? Passing through a lot of thinking and But all in all, it comes down to this: it's do or die, right? So I mean, you just get up, like they say, get up, fall back, fall down 8 times, get up 7 or 9, So now
Right.
you're just going back to your own positive thinking and trying to think positively. And I knew that in Costa Rica, they had some of the COVID effects hitting them too. I know that. And I knew that before going there because I had friends over there, although I did not speak very well in Spanish. But it got me to the point where I could feel there was something to do there. If not avoiding the whole situation, then maybe just buying yourself some time, right?
Right. So you came down to Costa Rica in 2021, right?
Correct. In end of April. It's going to be 3 years, just about at the end of the month.
Well, at that
Time
point,
flies when you're having fun.
yeah, we were 1 year into COVID at April 2021, right?
Yeah,
And
correct.
so
Correct.
Canada was still locked down pretty much.
Yep. I was bullseye right in the heart of the COVID at the time. And then I just came to Costa Rica with a big duffel bag and 3 luggage and about $3,000.
And what was the plan?
I just didn't know. I
No
just
plan.
said, well, no plan. Just go with the flow, pretty much. And that was what got me.
So you landed where? So where in Costa Rica did you decide to plop down at?
Oh, well, I already came once before 2021, right? So for the coffee business, I already made friends, contacts, and so on. So I said, well, I'm just gonna copy paste and just take it from there as what I know is good. So I'll just go and repeat it, and then we'll see about that. We'll see how life treats me over there, and just get on with it. So I landed in Liberia, and I didn't have the chance to visit Costa Rica the first time I came here with a business trip for coffee, right? So I did not know anything but nothing from down south. So I just said, well, you know what? For now, my heart is in Guanacaste, and let's take it from there. That's pretty much where the business was for the coffee mill was, and I know there's a bunch of other ones down south in the center region of Costa Rica, but Guanacaste has one of the very good and still unknown coffee today. So I mean, it's a good thing to be able to talk about the Blue Zone coffee. I don't know if that rings a bell for the Blue Zone type food. Nicoyan Peninsula. So that's what got me to know what Blue Zone was. Actually, I had no idea when I arrived there.
There's only like 5 on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's one in Icaria, one in Okinawa.
Right.
The other one's in California, in Loma Linda.
Right. Which is weird.
And yeah, really. And missing one, but then the last one is Nicoya.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to see how coffee was roasted and packaged and treated a little different than what we know in North America. But then, passion is passion, and that's what got me to do what I'm doing now. But this is only for nothing fancy. It's for survival, pretty much. I just like doing it. No pressure. Everything's cool. And my feedback is my pay, People say the coffee is really good. And so orders here and there, and everything's happening. I'm sorry?
I love what you have the vision for, right? Like, is to bring some agro-tourism in. And I think that's, just a great idea, right? Because as we change up the culture, we want to see how our food is being grown. We want to see how coffee gets grown. We want to see. One of the greatest trips I ever took was to Colombia, and we stayed on a coffee finca. And it was like a group of 12 of us. And there was, we were in these small little rooms, whatever, but we were on the coffee finca. And then we got to go out where they were harvesting by hand. Every piece of coffee, every coffee bean off
Correct
there.
answer.
We got to watch where they let the coffee ferment and let the fruit come off of it. And then that particular place where we were at, they had two different roasting styles. And one was in this big kiln that had a mesh over it. And they'd put the beans on there and they would just come and rake them over a fire. They would come and rake them. And then the other way, they would let them sit out in the sun and they would rake them on the tarp that was in the sun. And it was like, I'm telling you, that was, and I wasn't a big coffee drinker before that trip to Colombia. I I'm naturally caffeinated, like I'm naturally energetic. So I wasn't like, and I always loved the smell of coffee, didn't never really like the taste of it. And then I really had my first cup of coffee in Colombia with like no bunch of crap in it, right? Like it was just delicious with like a half a teaspoon of sugar in it. For me, was like, this was so good. I'd never had coffee that good in my life. And so now like people are like, they go buy this garbage at Starbucks or wherever the crap they're buying stuff at. And I'm like, oh my God, stuff is horrible. So we only drink Costa Rica coffee that I bring back and we fridge press it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just like, I'm really particular about my husband was so mad because he's working in Nebraska right now. And he's like, babe, they have the worst coffee. And I'm like, dude, grind yourself up some, throw it in a mason jar, take the kettle and the French press with you. I can handle what I have here at the house. I'm like, you don't need to be drinking crap coffee. And so I think people don't even know. They just drink coffee and they drink it. And they don't know the difference.
They have no idea.
And until I experienced that, the whole thing of them standing on a hillside with these vests on that had pockets in the front of them that they're picking the coffee beans off of. I mean, it was amazing to watch the whole process.
Yeah. It's nice to know. A lot of people don't even know the beans are roasted. I mean, it comes out with that fruit from that tree or that plant, depending on what type of coffee it is. And it comes out red, and nobody knows it's a fruit, or practically nobody. Right. It's just amazing. So, as much as people know about wine nowadays, nice to change a little bit into wanting to know a little bit more about coffee. And I think there's more people that drink coffee than there are that drink wine, right?
Oh, for sure.
I believe so. Absolutely. So I mean, this is just it's just another way of life bringing us to some sort of back to basics type thing. I believe when we get from that point in North America where we kind of don't know and we just drink it or we just eat it, whatever it is, and then not forcefully but voluntarily when things get really bad for some reason. My end of the deal was, why don't you make it the best of it instead of just, try to change what you can't change where you are. It's easier to say that way, and it's easier to take as well. So, I mean, that brought me so many gifts from life. It's just, it's just, I kept my smile. I mean, I know a lot of friends of mine were still sitting there in that, rotting and festering and not being able to change anything for themselves. And they were just so full of questions, kept calling me practically every week. So what's new? They just wanted to know. And so they said, well, it's really nice to see you smile like that, because I mean, over here, it's just pathetic.
Right. So one of the things that we talked about too was, so you moved to Costa Rica. You were doing some consulting when you moved down there on roasting and coffee in general. But then you met somebody while you were down there.
Well, kind of. Actually, the coffee company, the coffee mill, was a full year of not seeing anybody, pretty much. I was working every day from like 7 to 6 at night. So pretty much 11 hours, take out that 1 hour lunchtime. There you go. 10 hours every day. And I arrived pretty much in the rain season, so there was not much to do with a motorcycle after work. So I just ran to the house and I just waited there. And the people I saw there were so nice and full of, like big hearts on two legs, And these people are the people from the village I stayed at, which is called Matambu. It's a tribe, pretty much, a modern tribe. It still has this tribal kind of organization. It still has everything that it had in the past, but a little more modern. Everybody's got a fridge in there,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it just kept this typical kind of family tied reunions, and you cannot be more surprised how with the very little they have, they could be so generous giving it out and accompany you and make sure that you're always fine and knowing where you're going to go and when you're going to come back, and just like their mothers were my mothers as well. So I mean, getting accepted. Sorry?
They welcomed you into their tribe.
Oh yeah, and that's an honor, really. I mean, if you get it at the most detailed small ways, everything was an honor. I mean, they have so little to share, but they just shared anyways. It's crazy. And I had the chance to work with a couple of these people. And that's where I learned my Spanish.
Right. So that's like an immersion, right? Because did anybody speak English in there?
Yeah, but, just as well as I spoke Spanish. So it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to get to know people in that language, in English. And I told myself, I'm at their house. Why would I teach them English when I'm the one who's got to learn my Spanish? And it took me 4 months, which isn't that bad. I was kind of glad, 4 months. Oh yeah, total immersion. I mean, you get hungry. If you don't say it, you're gonna get hangry, right? So you better say it. So I got like really humbled by this experience as well, and that was really something that I liked at the end. Not being ashamed of not being able to speak or misunderstood all the time, or you know what I mean. It's really hard on the ego.
For sure. Your ego had already taken an ass whooping, right? Like your ego from Canada had already been demolished, and so everything from here was either a learning experience or an elevation to a different plane.
Correct. I had a choice, and I just said, "The hell with it. Let's go the full 9 yards." I mean, there's no turning back, right? So might as well just go ahead and accept the humiliating but humbling experiences and just go ahead with it. And so it paid big time. I mean, big time. Yeah. I really, really enjoyed. I never thought I would speak a third language in my life. I never had that plan. So, kind of. And so in such a short time, realizing it in the same year, like 4 months earlier, not being able to come to communicate with them, and then turning around and going out in a restaurant and having a blast with the people and started joking. And then I mean, wow, it's a totally different story after that.
I bet it is. Yeah. So now you are fully integrated into Costa Rica lifestyle.
Yes.
And you have your business. Yes.
It's a business, which I would prefer talking about, two specific jobs. I would say one is voluntary work, and the other one is my coffee. And still getting a few contracts here and there for consulting, but that's it. And I love it because I mean, with language barrier that I don't have anymore, doors are open pretty much. I mean, if people understand that learning Spanish and speaking their own native language will help them quite a bit. Doors are just open. There are a lot of opportunities here in Costa Rica. As much as the United States is suffering for the dollar value right now, Costa Rica is an economic boom. So it's just worth it. So yeah, it wasn't like this for a long time, but lately, like a year past at this year to date, I would say pretty much it started booming pretty much. Yeah, I'm fully integrated. People are really nice, although there are some challenges. But if you can forgive a little bit of the punctuality slash schedule respect of somebody who would show up and suddenly, there's just a bunch of excuses not being able to. But if you can forgive that and pick it up for the next day, everything's good. So yeah.
So we're talking to people who are looking to be expats, right? They're looking to make the move to Costa Rica, and they're looking for as much information as possible. And I know that you, having already done it and went through all of the hassle of it, have now like fine-tuned the process of how do people come down and transition to expat life down there, not just like as visitors who have to do a border run every 90 days, but really they want to be an expat.
Yeah. So you're talking about my other passion, really. Oh, yeah. So that being said, that's my voluntary work type, slash passion, helping people and kind of humanitarian type thing. I know how hard it is to change country. I know how hard it is to move to another country. I recognize myself in that ejector seat. I was there. So, and I was exactly the same. I couldn't speak Spanish. For most of the people that come here, they don't. And so I had this plan. I didn't know my family was going to come here at some point. I had a doubt. I was kind of hoping, but I was not sure that this was going to happen 100%. So the deal working at the coffee mill was to get my butt up to the level where I could really get to know people and see where I could make some contacts and figure out how does this machine work? Because I had questions myself, and I didn't have a big brother that was kind of looking up to me and down to me and say, well, no worries, pal, I got your back, That's what I'm trying to do, really. I did this for my own parents, my brother and sisters, So some of them are still, traveling here and there. It doesn't mean that if you get integrated and if you have the papers, you can't move from here. If you could go on vacation from where you were, it's the same thing over here. So there's nothing really tying up your wrist together.
So you put a network of people together that have facilitated the process easier, right? Like you've made the connections to the people, like the next step that needs to be taken. And you are the one who helps facilitate the wheels getting in motion. Right?
Correct. And in motion and in emotions as well, because it's really challenging. I understand it because it's nonverbal, but it's really shaking someone up. And that period is really difficult. You know what? I high dove from a plane, and that wasn't to just throw myself out of the door that was the hardest. It was to stick out the first toe out of the airplane. Like the brain is still in the airplane. What the hell am I doing right now? Right? So that was the hardest thing. And that, I think, is when people realize they're here, it's when everything begins to be a little
real.
A little weird and real. And the brain doesn't know how to interpret it, really. Mm-hmm. They don't have their comfort zone set up yet. So it's like everything's a challenge right up there. Getting out of the plane, everything is... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Community, right? Like we're used to having our community of people. And now you're
Correct.
coming where nobody knows you. Or if they do, they barely know you. They haven't known you for the years of the people that you've grown up with or went to school with or lived in the neighborhood with. So you're not just losing your country and your way of life and the processes, but also your community and your family if they're not willing to come.
And your family, if they're not willing to go, of course. And who can bring every single member of their family with them? I don't know. I've never seen that. Yeah, well, that's something that's really serving well as well for people to know that they can at any point in time you can just go and see them again and come back. And so it was not it was hard for me just to know if my own direct family, like mother, father, were gonna come here at some point. I mean, visiting would be fine, but not ever. That's a hard thing to think about, really. Brothers and sisters, same thing. So, I mean, you really have to know what you're getting yourself into. But I'd say that everything that you think before going is just an illusion. Pretty much. Nothing is the way it seems.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take that curtain up to show the real deal so that nobody gets surprised or everybody takes a good decision with having all the elements that I did not have the chance to know about when I came here. So, and I mean, we lost some time, a lot of time, even when my parents came. I mean, we tried some things after that because, I mean, it's not just getting them here, it's also getting the paper done and getting Dimex or whatever it is, or getting a permit or getting a license to drive, or, everything is interconnected.
Right.
And one has to know exactly what he's doing in order for that to happen again to somebody else and helping them to kind of foresee what they're going to have to do.
Not only did you do it for you, then you practiced on your parents.
Yeah. Don't say it's not. No, they knew about it. And I did practice on myself quite a bit too. So, I mean, bumps and bruises and some money as well. But, absolutely. I mean, you can't buy yourself experience. You have to do it. You can't just look at somebody else because there's going to be a lot of elements missing, right? So I mean, you have to know throughout a circle of people, friends, acquaintances, people from, referrals from another group of people. I had it all going around and I've seen a lot of things. So I know which cases are, going to be a problem and which are not. And let me tell you that there's not many people who are going to run into problems. Again, just to lose. So many people seem to be lost. It's unbelievable. I mean, just ask anyone you know. Did you get your Dimex? I tried, but I just can't figure it out. It's so difficult and it costs so much money. Both of these answers are wrong. Right. So, I mean, people really need to go in the deep end to figure it out, and that's what I did. So it was really.
You've helped people get them like within 45 days.
Well, yeah. Normally, people get discouraged after 9 months, and they all say it takes 9 months or so. And some people just went back home, after 3 border runs or whatever. Right. Now, I mean, they're stamping for 180 days, but okay, guess what? You have your driver's license from the States or Canada. You can't drive after 90 days, so you're gonna have to do a border run anyways, even if they stamped you 180 days. Right. So I mean, so what I do with my people when they come here, when they say, well, there's somebody that wants to have, at least to have the information. Well, okay, fine. So I have this circle of professionals that work with immigration. They're not working with, let's say a regular lawyer.
Right.
whatever it would be. Like over here, notaries are lawyers. So you can imagine that lawyers are pretty much doing everything. So these people are working from and with and directly with the immigration department in San Jose. So it took a lot of people a long time to see, and a lot of money to see that things were just being stretched, and 9 months. And they said, well, COVID. I said, no. It was like that, like way before COVID. That's not an answer. So, bureaucracy was really, ridiculous. So, and I just wanted to kind of tone it down to the direct type relationship with the lawyers. Most of the lawyers in immigration work with lawyers, right? Normally, you pick a lawyer, and then your lawyer goes to see an immigration lawyer, right? That's pretty much what it is. So I'm not trying to say they're not good. I'm just trying to say that if, the more the merrier in life, but in this case, the more, the longer it's going to take. Yeah, of course, because everybody's got their delays. Everybody's got their schedule. And God knows lawyers' schedules are going to be taking a lot of time, and they're really busy people. So, but I had this chance of meeting this team, and as I'm doing this voluntarily, there is no obligations on my part, and I'm just trying to connect the people. My job as a representative for years was pretty much just doing that. So I just like to connect people, have their smile in their face, and say, "Well, that was easy," and just. We have to say it because so many people are just having a lot of trouble doing that,
Right.
So I make myself available for this kind of thing.
I love it. And it's funny because it's like there's so much different information, conflicting information, depending on what group you pop into or what attorney you speak to or what specialist you hire that's just supposed to help you with with your residency and any of that stuff, that they're taking a lot of money from you and still going through the same amount of time or longer.
Well, money is one thing, but you can always make money, but making time, it's impossible. I mean, you can't replace that. So, right. If you're here for a certain number of months and you have to do a border run because one of the guys didn't do their job properly, and you were counting on not making a border run that time because you thought you had a lot of, more time on your hands. It's really irritating for a lot of people. Let me tell you that. And twice, it's a deal breaker, I'd say. So I would have liked to have that kind of help, and I'm just trying to offer what I would have liked to have. And so I hope people will realize that everything is doable. We just have to know what we're doing, and if they're willing to let somebody else's experience try to talk and fix things, that's what I'm here for.
So how did they reach you to get your help? Like, did they just reach out to you on Facebook, or did they WhatsApp you? They're like, I want help from you.
Some of them do, but they're always, word of mouth. A guy I know knows a girl I know, and that person knows somebody who needs this kind of paper, that type thing. So from Facebook, it's more like that, because I don't talk to anybody on Facebook really to try to, answer this question. It's too different. It's too picky. Sometimes people. They think it's a I'm a con man, or I don't know what. So on Facebook, it's just too personal, and wouldn't be a good place to start talking about legal things, I believe. So what I did was I just opened an email, which is a Gmail email, really simple, requestyourdimex@gmail.com. I think you have it in the description box, right?
Yeah, I'm going to pop it in the show notes afterwards. So
okay, cool. So from that point on, if anybody needs some help, just write to me a really quick email, and we'll start talking from there. So, and I'm doing this voluntarily, but my lawyers, they do not. So just keep that in mind. I'm really happy to help, but I'm not saying the lawyers are going to do it for free. That's not what I'm saying. Okay.
No,
I'm just trying to help here.
There's going to be costs incurred, but
Of course.
not by you. I mean, you're connecting people to the professional.
Correct. And also, if people want to, kind of pack their belongings and have their container shipped here without taxes, there are some formulas we can work out. I know that happened a few times, and so having a Dimex, having that kind of social number, gets everything done really easily. But again, you need to know to whom you're talking to.
Right.
So I know a lot of people wanted that because, taxes here in Costa Rica are something for importing your goods, right?
Right. So once you have got your Dimex, you can. I'll have to remember right because I may be wrong, so just correct me if I am. But you can bring in quite a bit duty free, and including one car or two cars.
One car. It changed. There was one car, and then there was two cars, and then there was one car with one container. So now we're sitting on a full container of your belongings and one car. Which is better, I guess.
The container, or it's a container and a car?
No, it's a container and a car. So full container of your belongings and a car on the site.
With duty free.
Another container, right?
Yeah.
Duty free, correct.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's way worth it. So even whatever you spend in your legal fees to get this all taken care of, that will save you probably $20,000.
Oh, yeah. That you could reinvest in your own property that you buy here, which is nice, right? So it's just that, a chain reaction. Once you got your Dimex going, everything seems so much smoother. But if we try and doing this, like with the container first and without papers, oh my God, this is just going to take forever. And it's going to be rechazado, as they say. It's just going to write it off and it's not going to happen.
Right. So what is the one thing that when you moved to Costa Rica, you thought was going to be super hard, but it ended up being pretty easy?
Well, speaking the language, of course. I thought it was going to be so hard. And so, but
I think
funny thing is I learned. Yeah. Well, let me tell you that. There was something funny. I started, the people were teaching me Spanish. So they said, okay, they were teaching me Spanish. They said, you will learn Spanish so rapidly, you were not even going to believe it. And they were just making fun of me, of course. But so a few weeks passed by and I was starting to, understand a little more. The words were coming more clearer and everything was nice. And then I said, my God, this is fun. Starting to understand what they're talking about. And so surely a few weeks after that, and then started mumbling a few words, just like a little baby, And then I got less and less corrections and everything was fine. And then I would really surf in the wave and everything was super. But then after like 2.5 months into the apprenticeship, I started talking to a lot more people because I was so happy. And then there was this old couple that I was, wanting to talk to, just like that at the street corner. Right. And so I started talking with the words I knew, and both of them, locals, two elderly person, looked at me like I was a little street bum. And I said, oh my God, what did I say? Went back to the co-op the next day and I said, that's funny. I was talking to two old people on the street corner. And so he said, yeah, well, sometimes it's going to happen, buddy. I said, why? Because we taught you Pachuco. It's not really Spanish, and I didn't even know. So I was speaking Pachuco, which is the kind of street slang thing, which the older people don't like really, So I kind of, mostly slang, but local accent, expressions mostly. Mm-hmm. And so, having said that, I was in shock. I thought I was speaking formal Spanish, but no. It's really funny.
The old people let you know that for sure.
Yeah. But so, I mean, it's more familiar as well for some coworkers to speak Pachuco. I mean, it's just normal.
So what is one thing that you thought would be super easy, but it wasn't?
Oh my God, what would it be? I have to say the change of, us in North America being so in timely manner, efficient and respectful of somebody else's agenda, or not agenda, but schedule.
Yeah.
I had a problem with just figuring out how I'm going to get an appointment at some point. But, might it be a hotel concierge or a lawyer or a police officer or whatever it will be? I mean, whatever. If you need to have a paper and you want an appointment, be patient. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying they're not going to respect your schedule. I'm saying in most cases it's going to take a lot of time. But that's why this thing with the DMX in 45 days of you getting approved is such a breakthrough for me, because I mean, nobody I know had theirs in such rapid time. Last one we went together at the. I like to go with that person to the lawyer's office, mostly because of the language barrier. But it took him 8 days. 8 days to be approved. I mean, it's like wow, So after having all these challenges and understanding what's easy and what's hard, at this point, when you're talking about a quick appointment, people that know what they're doing, they won't cancel your appointment to postpone it or whatever it is. Everything is done in the way I want it, really. I just had to fine tune it and tweak it a little bit. Everything is just well-oiled machine right now, and I'm really happy about it. So
I love that.
So that's the thing.
So why don't you charge for that? Why don't you go? You know what?
No,
I'll get it for $250, whatever it is.
No, I would say generally people are generous and they say, well, is there a compensation I could give you? I don't know what. You know what? Just give me what you think is worth. Or just let's go for a beer, or let's go for something to eat. I don't know. Anything really. It's some people just tend to really feel so happy that they're just gonna say, well, we really want to thank you in this way, and so that's good.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay, because I mean, charging for it would imply, invoices and a lot of ethical kind of, why is this guy from Canada trying to charge me for something for Costa Rica? And so why is this guy so knowledgeable? And the other side of the story is that they don't know what to do. Why is there that, it's just blurry, and I don't like it. I don't want to be held kind of accountable if something happens as well on the legal side. I'm not a lawyer. And so I just take people's hands, I connect people, and I'm fine with that.
I love it.
I think it's easier that way.
I love it. So now your family is in Costa Rica and you're in Costa Rica. What does your future look like?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What does your future look like? What are the plans?
My plans. I mean, I came here without any plans. So
I know, but you've been there long enough now to have one.
Yeah. Well, I'd say if things keep on going good, which they are at this moment, for another 5 to 10 years, I'd like to be able to continue this venture of helping people, but then as well as I'm well integrated in Costa Rica. I'd say there's this love for the city in San Jose, and there's this love for the countryside in Guanacaste. My heart is split in two. So I'm traveling in between these two places, and I'm trying to make these projects, put some life into it. And I know people that want to move. And once they move, they need a car. And once they need a car, they want to know where to go. And once they know where to go, they would probably want a house. So I can help with that too. It's pretty much what I wanted to do. And this is still on, it's everything's written down. I have my ideas. They're all written down. But, if these dreams are just without people, nothing's going to happen. And if they come here and my dreams cannot help them, and it's going to happen, but it's going to take 25 years.
I hear you.
So I think it's crucial to know what's realistic and what's not. So that's why I'm just saying, let's see that happen for the near future. We bought a farm, and so I'm going to start planting coffee there. So that's the only thing that's missing. Yeah, it's producing coffee in a whole 9 yards. So, trying to make the logically following one another. And from that point on, I believe some people are still going to be wanting to find some properties in the city. And so same for the countryside, where people, I believe, will want to grow their own food. Right. And Costa Rica is a really, really special place to grow food. You need to know, because agriculture here is not the same at all from anywhere you can think about. It's just so different. Where coffee grows, everything grows. So you have to know the altitudes, because coffee grows only in the high top mountains. It does not grow at the bottom. So you need to know that stuff, But looks bright. I think it's a bright future. I'm really happy.
I love
really
it.
Hyped up. Yep.
I love it. Well, we're going to wrap this up. And anybody else who's watching this, if you are looking to relocate to Costa Rica and you're looking to get your DMX, you're looking to connect, the email down below for Martin is there for you to be able to connect with him and ask some advice or ask for some good connections. He'll be glad to help you with that. And if you're looking for some good coffee, that's probably the first person I would ask right there is where's the best source single origin coffee in the country. I'm sure he knows where that's at.
Yeah.
You feel free to share this podcast with some friends of yours that are relocating also, and subscribe to this podcast. It'd be fantastic. As for that, we're going to sign off here today. Say pura vida. And I will be in country next week, so I'm super excited about that. Come looking at our land, so I'm excited to get back on the earth and just relax.
I so know what you mean. I so know what you're talking about. That's cool, right, really.
Well, we will talk to y'all later.